I see you over here. I got another game for you, so check this out. We got a game between two people. There's a chess game between two people here, and they're like 1100 ish. Like they're still beginners, but much stronger than some previous games that we were looking at. So white opens with d4. Love it. I play this myself. I actually play more like ready. I start with one knight f3, but a lot of my positions transpose into d4 openings, which I'm pretty familiar with these types of structures. Black responding perfectly. I mean, you're making space for your bishop to come out. You're going to develop your knight, get your bishop out. Love this stuff. This, I don't play. This is Queen's Gambit type of ideas, right? This is the Queen's Gambit, right? Right. That's what this is called. Wait. Yeah, this is the Queen's... Oh! Yeah, this is the Queen's Gambit that they're playing. I don't play the Queen's Gambit just because it is a bit technical. I'm also not the biggest fan of gambits just in general, even though the Queen's Gambit isn't like a quote-unquote real gambit. And you can win the pawn back by force, I believe. And as far as gambits go, the Queen's Gambit is one of the best ones, if not the best. It's significantly better than the King's Gambit, and you can get some pretty strong positions with this. But you do really have to know what you're doing. I think the Queen's Gambit Declined is really, really strong. Oops. A lot of strong players play that. I've even seen strong players play the Queen's Gambit Accepted, which is just insane to me, but it is viable at higher levels. But for me, I don't see much of a point in studying all of this stuff just because there are less risky ways of playing and openings that don't require as in-depth of knowledge to play. But okay. Black is just developing. Computer suggests moving the pawn forward is a better idea. I don't know theory very well here at all, to be honest. I like just developing the knight. It looks like a good move to me. And computer slightly agrees. But practically speaking, I think that this is still a good move. Okay. We're developing a knight of our own. I say we, but I'm not either of these people, and neither are you. That's just how it goes. But okay. Now, this is where I do start to disagree with how black is playing. You want to start to reinforce your own center. This is pretty important, especially since the central pawns are worth more than pawns that are closer to the edges. So like central pawns are typically worth like 1.1 in the opening, and the outside pawns, these on the very end, are worth 0.9, and they increase in value the closer you get towards the center. So you don't want to trade this pawn. You don't want to lose a central pawn in exchange for like one of these outside pawns. So I think that's why the computer is wants to reinforce the center. I mean, either way, I think white is doing pretty good here just for that reason alone. I think black's trying to defend the pawn like this, and practically speaking, I do like it. And okay, this is where we're going to start seeing a bunch of mistakes by both sides, and these types of mistakes are a bit technical, some of them, and I'm not sure if I'll fully understand like the technicalities between all of them, just because I don't normally play this opening and I'm not like the biggest fan of it. This I do like by black. Let me see what the best move is here for black. It's not even telling me. Oh, well, just takes. It's saying that just takes is good. Being down a pawn. So by playing here, you are essentially removing yourself of the opportunity to take the pawn. The computer is so brave in the way that it plays. It's so heartless and cold. But okay, I like this as black. I think it does stand a practical, it does give you some practical chances. And I also think that it fits in the spirit of the position, but Computer's not a big fan. And this, too, pushing the pawn forward like this, I play this myself quite a bit. I think that, I mean, Computer doesn't like it, but I do think that it is a strong move. And like, I like getting my bishop here to try and break this pin. I like pushing their bishop away. It gives decent chances. Love this. We're starting to get into more like familiar territory now for me. I want to see this pin get broken. I want to attack this bishop. Trades are good for us. I like this kind of stuff here. Pin being broken, great. This is what I'm talking about here. I would love to see this bishop get kicked away. You just have to remember this knight is stuck. It's pinned to the king. Castling, I think, would also be a good move, which white does. Black does itself. We have somehow transposed into a more professional line, and I bet you that this has been reached before. Let me see here. We're going to look in the Masters database. Yeah, so we went from such a goofy opening. It's not necessarily goofy. Like, the trains of thought that led to the decisions that they were making were pretty solid. And at this point, we have transposed into like some actual like real professional games. You can see some players down here. I don't recognize any of these names, but strong players. We have 2,500 in here, 2,475. This is their like IRL, like live ratings too. So they're very strong players have reached this position. But okay, now with this move, we are completely out of all strong players. Like, nobody's played this from this point. I'm gonna turn this back off because it's a little bit distracting. I would play this knight move here. I like the idea of putting pressure on this bishop. You want to trade it off. Taking, you're not really too afraid of because you can just take back, and winning a tempo on this knight as well, which that ends up happening. So here, white takes back. Excellent move. This knight is still, you're still putting pressure on this knight, so you could trade it off at any point, which would also double the pawns over here, which is pretty good. And that would have been a good move if black played that, but black goes for this move, which does just leave this bishop undefended. So you could have, just because this knight is attacked doesn't mean you have to take it right now, because if you take here, you're down a piece, so you essentially have to take back. Then you can attack here. You can take this bishop here while also attacking the queen, so you never really have time to take the knight. And you can actually get a perfectly fine position from here on out. If anything, I like this more from the black side because look how gross these pawns are. Like, you have doubled pawns here, doubled pawns in the center, this pawn over here all by itself. Black has good practical chances in that position, but the way that they traded pieces was not the most accurate way, which okay, this was also missed by our side, by white. We could have just taken here, and if black takes, you just take and you're fine. I mean, like, you're just chilling here. By taking like this, you're essentially, okay, so you are essentially giving this bishop is getting left off the hook. So you can take here, attacking the queen, so you have to take back, and then you take back this knight. So that is the difference between how they took. Both of them missed that, but okay, none of that happens. Game ends up going on. Black is down a bishop here, and white still does have to be careful, but really from here on out, it is essentially crushing. Like, really, like, black doesn't have any real practical chances. I really like this move, winning a tempo on the bishop, forcing it to come back. I would have even considered going here, just sacking a pawn to try and get things to open up. Also making room for this bishop to come into the game. Yeah, and white does that. Cool. I think they could have taken here. Yeah, they could have just taken that pawn. I think they just got kind of afraid of that. That makes the situation even worse. Wow. This draws the game. And I guess it's because you can take here. You have to move here, and then you have to give up the rook. So wait, why can't you? That is insane. Yeah, that's just, so you're basically, it's a crazy tactic that comes out of nowhere, and black actually plays it. So they, wow. But okay, it's still not completely over. You can win a tempo on this queen. You can get this queen well out of your position. Try and get this rook onto the file. You want to take control over here, but that doesn't end up happening. And white instead goes for this pawn. Practically speaking, I don't necessarily hate that, but I think more valuable than this pawn right now is to win a tempo. You can always just pick up this pawn later. You can wait on it, because this, by moving your bishop here, the queen isn't going to be, the queen has to move, and the queen can't defend this pawn from any squares. So you move and then you take, but taking right away is allowing this queen to still be in your position, and it's kind of in a dangerous spot. Now you don't have the opportunity to move this bishop essentially anywhere. It's going to be blocked in for quite some time, and it's going to take a lot of effort to get it back out of jail. But black definitely should have left their queen in there. I guess black was concerned about maybe some discover attacks, but there's really not any at the moment. And, you know, practically speaking, I do kind of like that idea, but black is the computer is suggesting moving here, or not here. Computer is suggesting moving here. And if takes, then what? Oh, if takes, you just have a strong position. That's black. Yeah, if your bishop is going to be tied down, these rooks are monsters. There's good coordination between the queen and bishop. Like if anybody has chances in that position, it's black. But that doesn't end up happening. And black does drop another pawn while also losing another tempo on this bishop. You have to be a bit careful where you move the bishop. Moving it back is good. And from here, black really has to do everything that they can to try and prevent white from queening. You can most likely pick up a pawn, like here, you can take here. And computer says that this is equal. This bishop is really loose. This bishop is loose. This rook is kind of in jail right now, not really doing much of anything. I feel like that would have been quite a good way to play. But for some reason, black just gives up another pawn. Maybe they just miss that this is hanging. And wow. Computer is suggesting here. And if takes, you just take this rook. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Okay, so now black is going for this kind of idea. And there might be, like, black kind of has to be careful, because if at any point you move this pawn, there's going to be a discover attack against the queen. And ouch. Not the biggest fan of this. Are you losing another pawn here? It's defended. We do have to remember that it's defended. Let's go back a couple moves. Let's go back. I'm going to pee and refresh. I'll be right back. Oh, okay. All right, here we go. You missed me because I just had to go to the bathroom really quick, but I'm back now. I'm back, and you know what? I'm back, and this pawn is hanging. So, gotta keep an eye on that bad boy. White does end up taking that, which is excellent, and computer does still say that this is essentially a draw. whenever you take this pawn, this bishop is undefended, so you do have to get that out of the way. And black has to be really careful about these two pawns because they're going to be marching down the board very quickly. Now, what black should do is attack the queen here. Black plays this move. We'll look at that in a second, but you should attack the queen, take this pawn, and then take this pawn, so that now this pawn is just by itself and it's much easier to target. For some reason though, black just decides to give up yet another pawn. Not the best move, and apparently taking isn't very good either. I would take this a million times, but okay. Computer suggesting pushing these pawns forward. I guess these pawns just are so much of a menace that you don't even care about taking this right now. You want to just keep pushing them and eventually make some more queens or force black to trade pieces for pawns to prevent you from making queens. But okay, I don't hate this move. Computer doesn't like it, but whatever. What black plays in response though is pretty bad. You're essentially putting your queen on this diagonal, which it can get kicked off of pretty easily. And what the computer is suggesting here is takes, and if takes, then you just take and win a rook here. So this is essentially another free pawn. That doesn't end up happening, and black does finally go for taking this pawn, getting it out of the way, and really, I do think that this would still be a draw. Black is doing quite well, all things considered. Like all things, what black has just endured is incredible. I would try and get the rook over, maybe put pressure on here and here. There's probably ways of preventing this pawn from queening, if not just straight up winning the pawn. It is defended right now, so we do have to remember that. This move is okay. I mean, you're finally getting the bishop out of the way of the rook. You want to like try and bring your rook into the game. This move I don't totally understand. He might have just missed that his rook would be defended here. Wow, what is this sink? This is a big mistake for some reason because of this. And what else? Oh, I think by computer's basically saying that there's no way of the pawn getting through from this position, but for some reason, black goes for this crazy sacrifice, which is completely unnecessary. And apparently, you have to take back this way and not this way. So taking back this way, what is going on here? So taking back this way, you can take this with check, right? That doesn't end up happening. And black is really going for some tricky stuff. You have to be careful not to get mated here. So, I mean, whoa, this attack just comes out of nowhere. Computer is saying that this is a draw. And it's, wow. So you have to defend like this. For some reason, black just completely gives away what little advantage they had and just straight up hangs the rook, which white doesn't even take. White doesn't take that thing. You would be so much safer if you took the rook, but I guess white just didn't see that. And this is going to be one of those like roller coaster moments where like it's going to go back and forth between white winning, black winning, or it being a draw. Oh my gosh. So look, takes here, doesn't take back, moves the queen here and forks the two of these bad boys. And you could just go back and defend, or it's called a skewer, not a fork. My bad. Please don't execute me. But instead, black moves here, and this is defended, but it also blunders this rook with check. And from here, you really do have to be careful not to get checkmated. But honestly, given the way that the game has gone so far, I do think that there's still practical chances for black. Okay, so white is going for some type of attack of their own, and okay, that essentially forces black to trade. And from here, wait, does it seriously draw? There is absolutely no reason they should be drawing here. Hang on, let me take a look at this for a second. So it's saying you can just bring the king out, and that's true. You could bring the king out here because there's nowhere checks, but that doesn't end up happening. Even here, it's still suggesting a queen trade here is fantastic, by the way, because you're up 2 pieces. You're going to be able to get one of these pawns to promote. But instead of going for any of this, white moves back here and essentially forces a draw to happen. White didn't even have to move the king. They could have blocked, and then if there was another check, you could just block again. And that's another way of escaping the draw. And legit, you could even lose this entire bishop or trade it for a pawn, and you would still be doing just fine here. But instead of any of that happening... Oh, whoa, the game goes on. Or no, that was that variation. Oh. I've had enough. I've had a long day. I'm gonna go to bed now. Goodbye.